And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Guts Gaming versus FAV Gaming in an all-Japan matchup that we have ready for ourselves. Two teams that we've seen compete over the past year or so here in APAC North, but both of them so close yet so far from the top of Japan and APAC in general. Really middle of the pack, and we'll see what they try to settle here today. Guts defeated T1 in our last Playday. Talon lost to FAV as well, both close games in 7-5, 7-5. We're back on the desk. I'm Milosh. This is the beautiful M and the handsome Hap.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, are you going to, like, you're nice to me. That's okay. I'm
always nice to you.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not used to people being nice to me because at one point,
that got real dark.
I desert you. Then I have like Easy in the background is also always like trying to bully me a little bit.
No, he fixed your hair today.
That is
nice.
true.
It's cute.
I thought he was going to try and mess it up.
We care for you.
And Jess tried to pick on me, but she lost her voice. So that's karma. So yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah.
Fair enough.
It was a fair change.
It was a fair exchange for this one. All right, then let's talk about this, I hope, fair exchange between these two teams with FAV Gaming up first on the board. Let's have a chat about the team and what they have to offer. Here's a squad. It's number 2, who I'm told Dez has completely abandoned right now. Afro, Shin, Type 1, and K-Razor.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, there were a couple of questions about the lineup coming in on it, of course, because they had a little bit of a disappointing stage 1. So we were like, are they going to be as big as we know they can be during the 2020 season when they were constantly fighting for those spots during the APAC majors? Des himself said no. They're in the bin. Then they turned around and said, no, I'm going to keep throwing this for the rest of the stage now.
He does say those words.
He does say those words. He did say it. He abandoned number 2, but number 2 definitely number 1 on this lineup so far.
Can say number 2'd on Desachu in that Playday that we had last week. That is one of our two teams. On the other side, it is Guts Gaming. Let's bring up their roster. Have a chat with you, M, about what they have to bring after their own victory. As you mentioned, it's like JJ, Mario, Yura, and Lily.
I mean, Guts are a team that I've always loved for a long time. I think they're just a very sort of exciting play style, and they stepped up over the previous week. It was a tough fight. They were able to pull it back after T1 took some surprising rounds, but T1 have also just taken a victory earlier today. It shows that it's a strong region. It shows that there's a lot of sort of interconnected play. So now that they've had a little bit more time with the new players and obviously the return of Mario, can they drift themselves into a little bit more success? Because you know, that's a name that you want to see in lights. That's a name that you want to see at the top of the board. It was a good opening game, but you expect greatness, and you're curious to see if we can get that step up in this follow-up game.
Yeah, Mario, one of the best players back in the Norengo era of APAC. That is something that I'd love to talk about in depth in the future of what they had to offer in APAC in general. But till then, our head-to-head. One player out of each one of these two teams is what you guys picked, and it's Lily and number 2. Hap, why number 2?
I would love to say that it was just to pick, but no. He was the top-rated player on side of the side of FAV. I believe Lily was also the top-rated player on the side of Guts, and both fulfilling the, well, you would say entry role. But at one hand, number 2 has 7, the other Lily has 1. So it's just basically similar operators, but that's about it. But they are very big players that need to show up for their teams to perform well.
Yeah, you look for the sort of the entrance, you look for that position where they can get themselves into that situation. You're bringing Ash, but to be fair, in some considerations, she has been adapted away from with the recent changes. They're looking at sort of everybody's flirting with, you know, looking towards potentially Flores or Rihanna or Zafia in some cases, where they've sort of shuffled who brings Zafia. And so far, number 2's been able to step into the mantle of getting in and getting aggressive earlier. So you're curious to see how Lily adapts in this sort of growth.
Yeah.
It's just funny to see how he's like playing on Ash, he's getting entry frags, but at the same time he's also playing Smoke, which is like the operator that you need to be the most careful with, because you need to keep these canisters safe till the last 30 seconds of the round, because that's when they're most useful.
I think both operators are meant to be on site at some point, so that's what...
Yeah, true. Very good analysis.
Theoretically, I can see why you're on the table.
I can see why you're here.
Literally.
That's what you were... That's for the post.
That's for
late
APAC
night
League
siege.
After Dark. Yeah.
Milos is going to lean across. No, and I think it's correct. It's a strange dichotomy to have the two very different roles in terms of the approach.
Fair enough. Well, you know what? It's always that site calling.
Yeah.
Saying, which map will we be playing on, ladies and gentlemen? I know you're as curious as I am for this one. So let's say again, best of one series. We got overtime, which is awesome if you ask me for those points distributions. FAV will have the final say between Clubhouse and Villa. They will go to Villa against Guts. And since they picked the map, it's Guts that go for the side start, and they're going to go for defense. Stein. What do you think?
I'm always worried when I see Villa in a best of one being picked. We saw in the EUL last Playday, GT picked it. They got onto the attack.
It's a rough one.
It was a rough one.
It was a rough day.
It's very rough. Let's see if FAV can do it a little bit better and show why they picked Villa in that case and that their attacks are on point, because in APAC we do still attack, of course. Is the good old slogan that always comes out. Not really the case anymore, especially the start of 2020. I'm trying to hype FAV up here, all right? I'm trying to make sure that they are going to be going back into it. Good. Nice.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
hyped.
You. Thank you. One of us is.
Yeah, because to be fair, last time they met here, it went FAV's way. They met in the start of a best of three. It's a very different situation, but it was still the first map of the best of three, and it was 7-5 to FAV. They were able to take it away from Guts, and then they ended up taking the entire series. So theoretically, they have that behind them. You look at sort of the more aggressive maps and sort of like Coast went towards Guts. This could be a good place for them to build, and this could be a very good place for FAV.
I'm curious to see how tactical things are going to be here on Villa, and if we're finally going to see Flores here. Not really picked in APAC as much as he is in EU, that's for sure. He was open in the last game, wasn't you? So excited for it. Anyways, MHAP, thank you so very much for helping us out here on the desk. It is time, though, to throw it to our casters. Game number 2, Guts vs FAV, all Japanese matchup, and we've got a bit smaller Tim and Des on the casters desk.
Don't forget the button this time. I just realised then as he came into the camera. Welcome to the casting desk. It is the Japanese showdown for today of Guts versus FAV. And Tiny Tim, not so big Tim. They can't quite decide what to call you. It's the last time we're going to have Big Tim in the studio. That's enough reason to celebrate. But in this game in particular, Tim, Guts versus FAV, they played each other a couple of weeks ago in a best of 3, and Guts narrowly won 2-1. The final map on Coastline going 7-4 in their favour. So here on Villa, anything goes, as they didn't play this map in that series before.
Certainly does. FAV are going to have their work cut out for them today. We know how capable Guts Gaming are. And we know that they are, for me, one of those teams that's going to be pushing the top 2-3 spots as well when we come into the final area. Well, I think so. Coming into the final areas of Stage 2, I honestly do think that they could be right up there along with Cloud9 Cyclops. I'm still going to throw DWG Kia in there for now. We'll see how the next week or two progresses, but I think they'll still be fighting for those top spots. But yeah, I think, last stage I was looking at that coming down to sort of Guts and Talon, and I feel like Talon have dropped off a little bit. We'll see how they are today, but Guts for me, looking very strong at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, last week was on 2 different maps, 2 different teams playing each other, of course. We don't get the perfect comparison between the 2 teams. FAV, I thought, struggled on the attack quite a bit, being held up by defences. Guts looked far more improved. Gone were the days of being the overly aggressive Japanese team, as they were well regarded once. With Meryu on side, they now look a lot more structured. So very excited to see how a slightly changing style for Guts stacks up against FAV, given how they looked last week. Let's get through our bans real quick, though. Monty coming out as the first one. Not too often these days that we see it coming out as a target ban, interestingly. Thatcher and the Kai pairing coming out. We just saw on Clubhouse before the start of this game. What happens when you don't ban the Kai away? Once the Thatcher is taken off the board, teams will run it, knowing that you might have some difficulty in removing those electro claws otherwise. And the final ban here coming out is going to be the Mirror for Guts, a go-to staple, it feels like, on any map ace.
Certainly is. We see an awful lot of those coming in. Nothing too unusual, really, in terms of the bans for APAC there. I just want to dip back to a point that you made there, Des, about Guts and their aggression. And there's an interesting parallel that could potentially be drawn here with Merio coming in. And it's something that we might see from Guts going forward. And basically, I think back to the LATAM region, and it was at the time the MIBR roster. Back in Stage 1 last year, not Stage 1 this year, Stage 1 last year. So sort of the middle of the year. They were this hyper-aggressive team. Cameraman had just joined, and they didn't really have time to sort of calm that down. It was just all rush, going in for kills. Cyber and Bullet particularly, we know what their skills are like. But it didn't carry them to wins over and over. There was still that margin for error where teams had them sussed out. But coming into Stage 2, Cameraman had come in. He'd done a lot of work. He'd brought a lot of strategy with him from FaZe and just brought a real calm to the team. And they're now the FaZe roster that we are seeing at times absolutely rolling over teams. They're one of the most terrifying teams for my money inside a World Siege. And it was just that one player's influence. I'm not saying it's all down to Cameraman, but what it is he brought that missing jigsaw piece. He brought that strategy and that calm. They still have that aggression and that rush at times. They still have that technical ability, and they use it, believe me, when the situation calls for it. But it's now just another tool in the toolbox. It's another weapon in the arsenal. And I feel like Guts could be a real parallel for that here in APAC. They had that aggression, and it just needed reining in a little bit. And if Merio can be the player, if he can be the cameraman to their roster, if he can do that for them and bring that experience, that calm and that strategy, Guts could be a real force in the next few months.
It's quite apt that they start on defense here, because defense last week was where we still saw that aggression shining, and when it didn't work out, they adapted, they sat back, they played more defensive, and that's where they started picking up rounds. So very keen to see how they match the flavor against FAV. We know that a lot of Japanese teams are quite aggressive in their play style. I think across all the Japanese teams last week, they were the ones running the Flores, whereas the Korean teams not really seeing the value in it right now, so maybe we see that get brought out at some point, given Villa has a lot of verticals to deal with. And here we go with the breach in through the Iruni, straight away trying to take control of the top of main stairs, and they will do so in style. A double kill for Afro and Typon stepping in and finding the first two. That now leaves us in a 5 versus 3 with 2 minutes still to play. There is so much time here to work with for FAV, and still so much utility that it would be a bit of a surprise if Guts can manage to clutch this one back on their side. However, I'm looking at the man on your screen right now, Yura. He has been an absolute god for them in the Japanese league and also here in APAC North, consistently top rated. When he's alive, you just never know what can happen.
Huge start for FAV coming in there. A double on the entry within the first minute is massive. As you say, it really puts Guts on the back foot. There's very little they can do now. They have to focus on site. They've got one man playing. It's Light, who's off on the trophy statuary side. He's going to be the potential flank option. If Light gets shut down, I got to say, I think the round is done. But there is time, of course, for that to go the other way, for Light to come in and make a big impact from that flank. Yura just stepping out for the time being into the 90 corridor, wants to prevent any push up the main stairs, and he's quite right. There is a man there laid prone at the minute. There's also the Lion of Typon still in the corridor, just holding down that angle, just preventing any push from Yura coming forward. But here it comes, and Yura gets a big kill onto Typon, 3 versus 4, and all of a sudden that man advantage doesn't look too oppressive right now.
I mean, with the drone count slowly starting to dwindle on the side of FAV, one being at the south side of 90, clearly a missing point for them. And Yura, the man that I was just speaking about, steps up and goes quite aggressive. Admittedly, a big risk to step out blind like that, but did have the Banshees to feed him a little bit of information, knowing that he could push forward there without someone being too close to the doorway. Had the risk on the north side of 90, where there is now a player, Lily, finding another Light, yet another Afro balancing it back. But like that, the 5 versus 3 has become 2 versus 2 with 25 seconds on the clock.
Yura just holding the single door from 90 here. He is in a key position. Is he going to get his head removed? No, Shin misses the shots. And that leaves us still 2 versus 2. Afro downed and finished by Light. 2 versus 1 for Guts. And what a fight back this has been, Des. And it just shows that counterpoint to the aggression that we were talking about. Patience was key in that round, and they played it beautifully, waiting for their moment and striking when it was the right time and the right time only. What a round from Guts. 3 versus 5 from the offset, and they were not afraid at all. FAV, I've got to ask some questions there, Des. They had a great start and just really took their foot off the gas.
Now, there will be a lot of jokes over the coming weeks from Hap, I've got no doubt, who's probably sat back there now, his ears perked up because he's heard his name been mentioned, so you can listen intently on this one. This is a prime example of the issues that they had last week on Cafe. They have the time, they have the numbers advantage, and what do? They all funnel into one location. The only time their attacks were working for them last week was when they had one or two players just say, right, forget about the risk, we're going to vault inside a piano here or rappel inside a piano, we're going to push our way down white on the top floor of Cafe this is, and they'd often find kills. They were a very good gunning team last week, but at times, even with the numbers advantage, the attacks kind of peter off. I don't know what it is about them, but they fail to complete in those key situations. That there is a prime example of it. I really want to see them capitalizing here on the fact that you have numbers advantages, get some cross angles set up, push in from multiple locations. Don't make 90 your only point of ingress because you're just walking into a grinder there, and that grinder's name is the Guts Gaming side on the defensive point. There's work to do for them here, and I hope for FAV's sake they can get a couple more rounds like that because they started so well. It's about the end product though.
It really is. You can have all the good starts you want, Des, but ultimately, if you're not putting points on the board, you're going to be disappointed come the end of the game. You're not going to go away saying, well, you know, we had 7 really good starts to rounds there, but we lost that one 7-0. You know, it's just not going to matter at that point. So like you say, they need, yes, to have those solid foundations, but they need to come in. For me there, FAV just needed to keep their foot on the gas. They came in with such a great start, and if they push forward and just, I think for me, that's about decision making, Des. That's about having that player who's going to say, no, we're not stopping here. Keep going, keep pushing, keep moving. We're catching them on the back foot. We're going to get into advantageous gunfights here. And sometimes it might not be planned as a rush, but you've just got to take that opportunity and say, you know what, it's in front of us. We're going to grab at it. I feel like FAV were just lacking in that, and we saw them literally sit down for a minute and a half and decide to just drone and get information. And while sometimes that is the play, I don't think it was there.
Bit of an adaptation here coming out in terms of what we sometimes see around this master wall. Sometimes you'll see a castle brought along and you leave one of these walls soft, but here it's a laser gate to stop things like the grenades just coming singing through and potentially catching out onto JJ. So he is the master of bedroom at the minute. Has one laser gate facing on the doorway, one coming through on this wall where he can challenge inside a closet. It oddly enough reminds me an awful lot of the sort of setups that we see inside a storage on the top floor of Cafe, where you prevent entry inside of the piano area. This plays out much the same. Open up a relatively secure angle into the master bedroom itself, and the attackers are going to find themselves restricted, unable really to move forwards, even with this control being set up both upstairs and down.
Halfway through the round then, and a little bit of a contrast to the last one that we saw. Merio is going to finally open things up with a kill onto Shin, and that is much later in the round than last time. FAV just still pushing downstairs. Afro takes a lot of damage, but he does manage to flick and get himself a double. That's great play from him on the Jackal, just using every one of those 6 or 7 HP that he's got left to find himself not only 2 men, but the man advantage for FAV. Flipped around from a 5 versus 4 to a 4 versus 3, but let's not forget the site here that is being attacked is upstairs. FAV have now got control of below. They had to. They needed to be careful. They've taken operators off the board who could have had an impact from underneath, either on the flank, but they also had to watch for, there's no nitros in hand on the side of Guts, so there wasn't going to be any sort of direct denial attempt from underneath, but there is still the potential for those shotgun holes to be opened up, for those lines of sight to deny that diffuser going down. So right now, 3 versus 4, 30 seconds left to go.
I really hope they reactivate that laser gate, by the way. I'm seeing it just left undeployed at the moment. It is ready to be reset, but no, JJ goes down, meaning that laser gate is going to stay exactly where it is. Lily swinging out for the one. Typon gets one back onto Merio. A 3 versus 1. One coming in for Lily, but where are the rest pushing from? There's one up towards Astro as we hear those final 10 seconds start ringing out. They've got to make the play now, but Lily doesn't know where the second man is. It's number 2 coming up from behind and to shoot him in the back, and that should be a round close. In fact, no, it wasn't from the back. It was off to the side, so he was the man in Astro. Just didn't quite have the side angle there that I think he was hoping to have covered.
Yeah, I don't think he realised probably that he was exposed. It's sometimes a little difficult to judge just exactly, how much of your character model might just be peeking out from behind a bomb chassis or an object like that. But, I mean, it's not really a criticism. It's not really a question. It's a difficult situation. He was 1 versus 2. You can't necessarily expect it to be 1 out. But the tracers came in from the right-hand side. It came in from the Astro single door. And obviously he was just playing onto the fact that he thought, no, maybe that's a little bit of a bait and switch. They're going going to come in through the rotation instead. But without checking it at all, he basically allowed them to just continue pushing in through that side. You know, even just a bullet or two in the direction of that door from himself, a little bit of return fire might well have just turned the heads of FAV and forced them elsewhere. But that's, like I say, we're looking at it on a sort of a hyper detail level there, where we've got the top down and everything else in front of us. But we move into round number 3. 1-1 on the scoreboard. We're going downstairs, this time to dining and kitchen. Guts decide that trophy statuary was not the site for them, and they're going to mix it up. They're going to move it. They're going to head downstairs. Now then, we're going to see probably a lot of top floor attention coming in from FAV here. They're going to want to get themselves established. They've got the sledge on board with Shin, so get in there, get those vertical angles opened up, and that's exactly why you can see Light is just deploying plenty of utility up there. The setup is almost very similar to what we've just seen. There'll be slightly less utility because some will be needed downstairs in dining and kitchen, but still it shows the value that is being placed on this top floor.
And the mute on the upstairs as well, deploying a few of those jammers around. So very much this top floor hold. You spoke about it yourself a second ago just there. The idea being you get the top floor, you open up the flooring, you restrict the defenders downstairs in the site or force them off, and from there should be able to make a plant happen. Now for FAV, they got comfortable control of the downstairs in the last round, but wasn't until the late round where they came pushing in from Astro. Here it's going to have to be the reverse. They'll start on the top and then work their way down not long afterwards. They've got the tools to do what they need to with the soft destruction. You've got the Jackal as well as the Sledge as an insurance choice. In case the Sledge dies, you still got the ITA, for example, on Afro to help you open things up, plus some of the breaching rounds coming through here, at least for the IQ. So, as long as they don't bleed out too many members early on, they should have all the tools they need. But the question is, how long can Guts stall out for on the top floor?
Plenty of options for them, as you say, to get in there and get that floor opened up, but they do need to be conscious of the 3 nitros on the side of Guts. If we find Guts just retiring themselves downstairs, it's always an interesting battle, this one, isn't it? The IQ and the Pulse. Merio will take a shot from the pistol. Whilst Pulse is using that heartbeat scanner, it is possible for the IQ to detect him underneath and to rain shots in from above, but won't be successful in finding the kill. Lily will, however, on to number 2. Shin goes in and finds one onto JJ with a headshot, and that leaves us very quickly in a 4 versus 4.
You've just seen the man. I mean, they should know he's in Astro. He's killed one, and there's been no call going across the light that the man's in Astro. You should be watching out. There will be questions asked of the player that was playing at the bottom of Astro stairs, because as soon as the press came in from Shin, he didn't want to step up and go for the challenge. Instead, he beelined it out of there, wanted nothing else to do with it, and that's 2 golden kills coming through. Potentially a 3rd here as Meryu also goes down. Shin, I don't think he knows at this point, so should not be able to recover him. Maybe just saw the 4th for a second as well. Sees 2. Surely, if they can find one of these 2, they can put the round to bed right here and right now. But it's making it so difficult to get the revive. We spoke about the restriction on the defender movements. That's exactly what you're seeing here, Ace.
Merio just manages to crawl himself to safety, pick back up onto 20 health, but that was extremely close. The Pulse, even with information in hand, was still beaten on the reverse angle, but 3 versus 3 time is going to become a factor for FAV here. They're opening up an unbelievable amount of this top floor, but right now it is not paying dividends for them. Lily and Merio, however, both on low health, both 1 shot away. If they're going to have any contribution in this round, they need to find themselves absolute freebies, and that is what Lily is looking for. But I think they're aware. Taipon looks to have creeped down on the Lion. He's on the stairs, but beaten by Lily. What a shot. 2 versus 2 as K-Razor gets the trade there, but the kills come in from Merio, and those are the 2 kills that I was talking about. There's on low health. Merio and Lily have both managed to make every one of their hit points count there, getting themselves 1 apiece, not even taking a single bullet whilst they did so, able to lock down the round, and that is Guts once again winning a round that maybe should have been beyond them.
All came down to time ultimately. And I think a lot of it from FAV, when they had that upstairs control, was so focused on getting this floor opened up, and rightly so. 2 kills coming out of Shin on the Sledge, almost a 3rd with the down onto Meryu, but not quite able to complete it. And from there we descend into this 3 versus 3 where Guts win those final 2 gunfights on site and manage to close the round out according to time. I honestly thought coming into that site that we might see FAV walk away with it, and suddenly he's saying, well, 2-1 up on Villa. That's not a bad start for things, given you still got 3 more rounds to play out. But at least as it settles here, it was Guts that walk away the victor, and now we get the repeat of the site, starting with Aviator and Games. Afro still holding on to the Jackal. I think if nothing else, just to make sure there's no nasty surprises, and the Goyo this time round being brought along by Meryu.
Round 4 then, AVG, as you say, Goyo in tow, so I think that's potentially going to be about just trying to defend this sort of southern side of the map. We can see there the Goyo shield goes up on the main stairs, and this is where the immediate attention came from FAV last time around. I don't think that they'll quite go for the same thing again. They know that they're unlikely to get away with it. Guts coming in with an adaptation that they're hoping will prevent it. They've got the Vulcan shield, they've got 2 ADSs, and no doubt a man is going to be playing on main stairs there to just really try and hold on to that and prevent that early access in from Study. We've also got some attention towards the north side of the map, and that's going to be a good idea as we see 4 of the 5 players racing towards that side of things immediately, and Afro is heading to join them on the Jackal as well. So right now, it's looking like the utility on the south side might go to waste for the time being, because this is going to be a north-sided push from FAV.
So it normally starts out. Some will either go for Study, some teams will opt to take the north side and work their way forward, others will start on the downstairs and look to assault main stairs immediately from the off. But I think here it's more that conservative play. If you've got the Jackal on side, you should be able to clear things out pretty quickly, and if there is someone looking to be problematic, well, they're probably going to get caught up by the Jackal scans or by the Lion E1Ds. Lots of things to shut down any would-be roamers, so just enough, I think, to scare Guts back to site and make sure they're not trying to do anything crazy. Well, like I mentioned in the pre-game ace, looking back at last week, Guts, they didn't do so well when they went hyper-aggressive on the roams. They did a lot better when they sat on site as 5 and just said, look, you want to come at us? Not a problem, T1. We'll set up here with some good cross angles and you'll struggle to capitalize.
And that's largely what they're doing here, Des. We can see that they've all dipped back to the bottom half of the top floor there. They're all on the south side now. Merio's going to hold down 90 corridor. He's got an ADS. He's got a Vulcan shield to assist him in doing that and just preventing that pressure. And the thing is, this location needs to be cleared out. FAV can't ignore this because they're coming on a north-sided push. So basically, when they get to a point of trying to execute, there's only 2 routes of ingress into site. And that is the north door near the red stairs, and it is the 90 corridor door. So Shin, he starts to push forward and looks to clear out that 90 corridor, which is going to give them access to the games room and the bar area. So that is a good start for them, because they couldn't leave Merio there, because if he was, it was just a fraction of a second for him to peek up down that corridor towards red stairs, which is where the push would have had to come. So FAV doing well so far and taking the map control that they need. They've forced Guts pretty much completely back onto site. There is only Lily that is in a position to peek out into this 90 corridor right now. We come into the 45-second mark, no deaths as of yet, and that is the next step for FAV.
No pressure in Study either, and Euro wins that first peak, wins the second. We picked him up a few times today, and that's the kind of delivery that you want to see. 2 kills coming through here into the bottleneck at the top of landing, and now the players of FAV are going to have to scramble. 2 more taking their places, and this time it's Light to go for the swing. Finds one, Euro onto the triple, and again, where's the pressure from Study to make Euro sweat a little bit here? Apparently non-existing ace, as Afro in a 1 versus 4, I'm pretty sure will not be able to bring this one back around.
This one's going to be job done for Guts as the Jackal is all alone. Yura, who else finds the last man? Great round for Yura there. You were waxing lyrical about him earlier, Des, and we can see exactly why now, coming in with kill after kill for his team in an important round there. It's just given them a little bit of breathing space, and it's also started to build that momentum for them. They've now managed to put 2 rounds in a row. It's 3-1. They're coming into the final defensive phase, the last couple of rounds that they will be on defense now. They are going to head to Trophy Statuary. This is the one site that they've lost so far back in round 2. It was reasonably close. It came down to a 1v2. There was only 10 seconds left on the board, so it was a fight against time really for FAV, and Guts, I'm sure, are going to be reasonably confident that they can get this one over the line now.
Again, come back to things I spoke about last week, and even in round 1 of this game for FAV, where it was this kind of numbers advantage, or at least even on numbers, and still find themselves pushing in through one angle. I was dying to see someone just open a window and Study, or smash through the doorway, or just chuck a drone on Ura and spot him. Anything to make him slightly uncomfortable and think, I could get shot in the back at any time here. But his sole focus could just be onto that doorway, and rather than rotate someone around, FAV, I think they had 4 players focusing on the doorway. One who was on the east window balcony outside Study, but didn't look to make a move in. This is what I keep on talking around in terms of their coordination and their focus, in terms of where they're trying to enter the site. We need to see more diversity in their approach, otherwise it's going to keep on ending up like this. You push through a bottleneck and Guts just gun you down.
Heading towards the north side and the action phase then. We've got Yura and Lily playing down on the south side in and around Study and Aviator Games. And that's just, once again, you can have the flip reverse attack here. We saw it last time, the pressure coming in from north to attack the south side. And it's something that can be used to attack Trophy and Statuary as well. Get yourself established in Aviator Games and move forward from there. But it looks right now that FAV are going to be paying attention primarily towards Master, which is the other sort of primary push that we see onto this site. Get yourself in there, get that triple wall opened up, apply pressure through to Astro, and just force all the defenders back, allowing you to start thinking about getting a plant down. Now, Yura, he's going to catch somebody here, Des. I'm telling you now, as soon as they move, they are completely unaware. If he has the patience, he is going to get somebody.
Patience is always the big question. How long do you want to hold here when you could be getting kills elsewhere? I mean,
Here
you've got the right idea. Oh, the 2 double cross comes through, but Shinny hits the shot first. Yura came so close. And that is a big loss for the team, knowing what he's been doing so far in this game. But with that first kill coming out for FAV, number advantage. Now, they've really got to put the pedal to the metal and make this round count.
I think it was another one of them situations where you're hoping for one, Des, and you get 2, and all of a sudden it's like, which do I go for?
Deer
you
in
just
headlights.
start spraying bullets. Exactly that. You spray bullets. He takes some damage off number 2, but he just can't get a lethal shot onto either of them. On a different day, maybe he picks up 2 headshots and gets lucky, but the spray was not with him there, and Yura getting shut down. Not only Yura, but also the smoke as well. Sorry, no, he's on the mute, so we've got explosives gone along with him. It could be a big loss in terms of the round. Now, Mario, he's creeping himself around down in basement, looking to get a potential flank off here, but he will be shut down by number 2, FAV. They really look like they've got Guts Gaming's number here on Trophy Statuary. Minute to go, and it is strong advantage, FAV.
I'd be really worried here as well. I mean, there's no frag grenades left, so maybe not. Oh my God, they don't know. They haven't even droned this out. Oh, he taps away at the wrong second, pulls out the smoke canister. Shotgun might have been a bit more beneficial for you there, matey. K-Razor onto Lily. JJ, the last alive, hanging around the Matador, gets shut down. A much better round coming out for FAV there. Admittedly, a little bit of a missed drone coming in inside of Astro, but one that ultimately doesn't prove too impactful for the side of Guts.
That was a tough one, Des. We've all been there where you get caught out with utility in hand. You've already pulled the smoke canister out. You've already got your flashbang primed. You don't have your gun ready to fight, and there's a second. And you didn't know they were coming, and it's an absolute freebie for them, like suffering on that one. But it could have been very different, as you say. If he'd maybe gone for the shotgun instead, there could have been an easy 2K, retire back to site, and that round might have looked very, very different. But we're coming into round 6 now, Guts. They're going to be on the defence for the last time. It's going to be dining and kitchen again. They're not going to labour the point in Trophy Statuary. They've decided that FAV know only too well how to attack onto that site, so they're going to be heading back downstairs. They actually had a really good defensive this time last time out. I think it was back in round number 3. They did very, very well. FAV didn't really get too close. There was a little bit of a point in time where they had Lily, they had Mario both on low health, but each was able to find themselves a kill. Lily moving up from the basement to get one on the pantry stairs, able to beat down Typon, even though Typon was sort of expecting the fight, really, still lost out. And I think that says to me that FAV, they need to be a little bit more active, like they were in the last round there, at just making sure they've got tabs on everybody and clearing out anybody that is not playing on site.
Also want to reference back to that former point about Guts, mind you, where I said when they were trying to get hyper-aggressive against T1 last week, it was coming back to bite them. They get picked off on the entry, they'd be at a numbers disadvantage, and T1 will capitalise from there. Where Guts shine most and where they have done the best in this game already is having people on site, let FAV come to you and feel like you can pick things out from there. Now, admittedly, in the last round, it was much more better orchestrated by FAV. They were the ones who walked away the victors, as you can see. So for Guts, I think ending the half at 4-2 here, you're going to want that. You know, FAV have walked away with 3 attacking rounds here on Villa. Suddenly, you're not feeling so good.
Number 2, just getting the drone in there, using that information. We've got 3 players on drones at the minute for FAV, which is a great sign, getting in there, getting that information. And again, like I said, picking up those roamers. They need to find those players, and then they need to act on that information quickly. Now, Shin is looking to open up and potentially get into Master or Bathroom. Out goes the drone again, just checking that the coast is still clear before moving in. And that was a nice little quick drone there. You don't want to be over-droning. You don't want to be going too far, because obviously somebody could move moving from bathroom if your drones move through to master, for example. So using that jackal ping information there just to take the battle across into trophy. He knows there's players up here on the top floor with him, but it's going to be JJ who finds a kill onto Shin with a nitro. Euro doubles down with one onto Taipon, who did manage to get one in the process there, but still 4 versus 3 now. Guts on top.
I mean, better. C4 coming out at the start. It was Shin getting the 2K from the top floor last time round, so for him to be caught up by the C4, looking much better. 4 versus 3 is the first time I think we've seen a numbers advantage for Guts outside of the rounds. They've absolutely clean swept. So for FAV here, playing from behind in one of these attacks for the first time, it feels like there's still a man or two hanging upstairs as well, which makes it risky for FAV to just go directly pushing into sight, because those vertical angles will be held by Guts unless you have that control. Number 2 is the one currently playing downstairs, moves at the least opportune time. However, 2 kills have swung their way. Numbers advantage, make it a third as Afro steps in. K-Razor going for the plant, shotgun in hand, but Afro closes it out. 3 huge kills to end the round, and just like that, you got FAV Gaming walking away 3-3 at the half.
What I'm absolutely loving here inside of APAC North, not just today, but overall, Des, is how difficult it is becoming to predict how close these teams are coming in terms of ability, in terms of, you know, just being that team that can turn a result, that can just get in there and get a win. And it's making our jobs more and more difficult when we're going through those prediction stages. But it is just pure entertainment, because coming in, there's just no way to say anymore. We've just seen it with T1 against DWG Kia. You just never really know what's going to happen. And the closer these teams get to each other in terms of skill and ability, the better it is for everybody. And I'm loving what we're seeing right now. 3-0 on Villa at the half. And this is absolutely anybody's.
It's the development of the region, I think, is probably the best way we can summarize it, right? I mean, look back at last year, look at even somewhat towards stage 1 of this year when we had the new org step in, and we said at the time, they'll take a bit of time to bed themselves. They'll need to make changes. It's completely understandable. And look at the transformation from teams like T1, who had a pretty good fixture just a few moments ago, or just before this game against Dan1 Kia. You could say the same about some others along there. Talon potentially looking good as well. I mean, last week wasn't the best, but given their results going on over in the Korean Open right now, quite possibly a step up on their side too. Guts looking slightly improved and reformed. Cyclops now on top in the region, it feels like. As you keep on saying, a rising tide raises all ships. It's exactly what it feels like here across the entire region. Anyway, let's get into this second half. FAV, the ones off on the defense here, starting off inside of Aviator Games. Probably more of a standard setup to what we're used to seeing here, playing on the bottom of main. If you recall, it was FAV who executed a rush-through study here to break this defensive hold very quickly last time around. We'll see if they try and go for something similar, but at least for the side of Guts, it appears a north take to kick things off is going to be the point where they commence.
So it is Merio and Light just going in there, getting the drones out, and that's going to force Shin to drop the hatch there and move down into kitchen and dining. So forced away from Master and looking to return himself to side at some point in the future. He's in no rush to get there just yet. I think he knows that there's a player potentially in and around this area just outside, but he's going to drop the hatch and again just give himself an option, just an exit there potentially if the pressure does mount on him. Now Light starts pushing in towards 90 corridor aggressively. We've got Lily and JJ joining him on the push as well, so that north-sided push is well underway now inside the first minute. Yeah,
they need that north control pretty quick. Just got to force the FAV players back at the same time. One on red, you had the mute running around downstairs, so there are things to consider here that you can't just step forwards freely. I was going to say, towards 90, commonly you'll see a C4 player below. Guess who's there? It's Shin, because earlier on we had JJ rappel up to the top floor, didn't hold inside of mud, so Shin has been able to step up here completely for free. If he gets a well-placed C4 as they come trying to push down 90, and that's assuming they can clear number 2 and Afro from playing around red, they're going to be in hot water.
Shin still underneath, as you say, needs to be dealt with. The drop comes in and they try to find him, but he finds the head of Light, shuts down one K-Razor. He makes the problems even worse for Guts, finding himself one, but JJ and Lily fight back, finding Shin underneath, and that should now offer Guts a little bit of freedom up here on the top floor. JJ just moving away from his peak at the wrong time there. Out goes the nade, but it will be picked up by one of those one-eye magnets to keep the man on red stairs safe. Afro, he will be able to keep holding his angle now. K-Razor, he's desperate to make this challenge, Des. He's peeking slowly, he's just bobbing in and out of cover. He wants the man to come, he wants the headshot. Lily finds Afro, K-Razor, Merio, and that leaves us now 2 versus 2. Still plenty of time for Guts here to just slow things down, find the last men, and make that final push.
I can say the man pushing in there from Trophy was well and truly, or from Trophy, yeah, sorry, was well and truly stuck because he had one to his right, one to his left. Whoever he peeks, the other one kills him. with that push coming in from below on the Ash, such a critical gunfight to be won. And I think for Lily there, that has unlocked everything and given themselves about 30 seconds to play with. It's not tons, and you've still got to deal with potential yokais here coming out of Taipon. They're scanning the ceiling for it, knowing that it's a thing. Going in for the plant here. K-Rays may be the one to swing out from the side of the vault, but can they do anything to stop this? Here we go. Potentially a double push coming through. They'll do just that. One hits the deck. It's Taipon going down. Lily and JJ both still in one piece. Going wildly for the spray. JJ here. A triple kill comes out for K-Razor. It's a 1v1. Make it a 2 versus 1 as Taipon's going to get res. Tests round for the spray. Finds one. JJ I thought were complete, but with only 17 bullets, needs to step out for the reload. He's got a few seconds to wait here. Taipon coming on the aggressive push. Must know that he's hanging around to the left, but the one bullet's enough, and JJ's going to clutch it out. Guts moving up to 4 and 3.
Great play from JJ there. The awareness, knew that that plant was going down. Sorry, knew that the resuscitation was going down and just stepped out at the right time to defend that diffuser. I mean, he could have got both on a different day. As it was, he got the man who was picking one up, and that was perfect because it left him then in a battle with somebody only on 20 HP. We, of course, are going to have a quick rehost. The players called for it. I think there was just a little sound bug going on in the game, so we'll get that one restarted in a matter of minutes. It won't take us long at all. But what a round that was! Real tension at the end.
Oh yeah, I mean it could have gone either way. We spoke about the time one going down. It came down to the dying few seconds. A small slip of the F key. We've seen that in EUL before a couple of times. A slip of that, and suddenly the round is done and dusted, and that's it. It would have been going the way of FAV, but Guts are the ones who take it. And just like in our previous fixture today, it's these really tight rounds, the unbelievable clutches coming out of individual players, for example, that define how the game goes. There are plenty of, say, normal rounds of Siege, but the ones that come down to a 1v2 from Yas, a 1v3, or in this case, JJ winning the 1 versus 2 in that post plant, those are the ones that you look back on and go, oh man, if only that shot had been hit or this had played out ever so slightly different, this game's a totally different result. And that's the beauty of it.
It really is, and I mean, we're in a tight matchup here, as you said, Des. It really is coming down to those, single situations that you're going to look back on and think, that could have been the difference maker here. I'm interested to see, that was a good attack from Guts there, but a stalwart defence as well. I think from what I've seen in that round, potentially we're going to have Guts picking up a few more attacks here. So it's definitely going to be on FAV to make sure they're on point and to start getting these sites locked down. They've lost Aviator game straight away to begin with. They may choose to move on here and try somewhere else. They may mix it up, go to Trophy Statuary, just flip it around to the other side of the map, see if they can get some joy elsewhere. But then again, it was 2 versus 2. It was very close. It came down to the wire. So they are going to go back there and see if they can get this one done. It's a bit of a gamble here, whichever way they do it, Des, because this leaves them, if they lose it, 5-3 down, and that starts to look a little bit dire.
And it can do. What else looks pretty dire? When you've got a boombot coming rolling towards your face, the Flores being brought along by Meryu. Spoke about this at the start of the game as well. Last week, they were rolling this along with the Ash, the Zofia, and 2 hard breaches for every single attack in round of Clubhouse. So I know that they like it. Meryu especially seeming to be the one that gravitates towards playing on the Flores. They used it more often than not last week for soft destruction. So moving the Flores drone into the hallway above basement, for example, on Clubhouse, to avoid being C4'd out. You just had the boombots being lost if anything was going to come singing out. And chances are the defenders aren't going to commit a C4 to a drone that you probably can't hear and also think, well, I'd rather save that for when someone's going for a plan or if a player steps in, like a sledge. So it was very safe play coming out of Guts. Really keen to see what the use cases are for it on this map in particular.
10 seconds in, FAV have got themselves up, set up similar to last time. We've got the Wamai coming along again. We did see that those magnets were particularly helpful in keeping Afro entrenched on the red stairs. They just need to be very aware of the push from underneath. It was Lily on the Ash who was able to move in and get that kill. So something, if they're going to play in that area, that they need to be aware of, and they are going to play in that area, and Light is pushing towards it immediately. Now, last time Shin was downstairs looking to assist and managed to get the opening kill onto Light, but this time doesn't look like that same pressure is being mounted from underneath.
Not just yet, but like I say, I'm wondering what the Flores is going to be. There's always a use case where you can get below and do things like this, start shooting out those gadgets, and they were very aware of Taipon's Echo drones in the previous round. They looked at them before they even pushed into the room. None were remaining at the very end to try and stop them, and here comes a wide swing from Kaiser. Downs JJ, doesn't confirm the kill, so could potentially get rezzed here.
K-Rays are able to just move out there, didn't take any damage whatsoever. There was a nade being sucked into the magnet as well. That didn't manage to touch him, and it was just all a little bit too easy for him to down the sledge of JJ, leaving the diffuser not quite in no man's land, but certainly out of their possession at that point in time. JJ nips back in, gets it picked up, but K-Rays are still unscathed on those main stairs and will be able to just hold his position prone now and just stay there for the next 20, 30 seconds until Guts get in and force him to move.
And the peak might come in here as well. That concussion just narrowly missing, I think. And here comes the push up here from the Zofia. Misses the shots and Light re-peaks around a second later around the back of that stair and brings down K-Razor. That's going to be main stairs broken out here. C4 comes through and it's a massive double coming out of Shin as the two players pushing up back to back like the army of two get themselves shut down. Lily equalising things back out into a 3 versus 3, and this round is now well and truly underway. Let's see what Guts can do in the 3v3.
Huge moment from Shin there, moving in with the explosives when Fav needed it most. Yura, he's just trying to apply some pressure from that south-sided balcony, just moves back, takes his foot off the gas a little bit and holds his angle, looking to drone and gain information. 36 seconds left, so plenty of time. Merio sends in the Flores drone, likely to be shot out here, I would expect. No, he manages to anchor it and force number 2 out of position. He moves straight back in though, but will potentially be challenged by Yura as he moves up the main stairs here. But it looks like he's got all the advantage with height on his side as he fights down the stairs and manages to kill the Hibana. Merio has absolutely no option here other than to go route 1 and trying to find the kills inside of sight. 10 seconds left to go. He's taking bullets from left, right, centre, everywhere. It's Typon who's able to finish that kill, and that's going to be a round to Fav. They close off Aviator Games and they level things up once again. You barely separate these two with a sheet of paper, Des. They're that close here in Villa.
It's ridiculously close between them. But for two teams that have played each other a seemingly infinite number of times, they play in APAC North, they play in the Japanese League. No doubt they've scrimmed each other at some point or another. I'm not surprised to see them being slightly aware of how the other set's out to play. It was a good initial push coming through onto main stairs, but that double C4 from Shin completely changed the dynamic of the round. Clearing out main stairs, leaving it a bit of a flimsy hole coming out from the attackers, and that was when later into the round, number 2 peeked over, found the kill onto Yura, who was left there facing off against a brick wall, unable to really do anything except be fully exposed to when the second peek come out from number 2, and they quite comfortably take the round. 4 and 4 then, now moving up to the top side of the map as we've now completed the attacker win and then the defender win inside of Aviator Game. Imagine then we'll step on the downstairs if Fav can complete this round.
It'll be interesting to see where Guts choose to push from this time around. We saw a number of options utilised from them for Aviator Games. We saw north-sided pressure, we saw pressure onto main stairs and up from the south side. So we do have options in the locker for them. Very similar to that here on this trophy statuary site. As we've said, they may choose to get themselves directly into Master, they may not, but we've got a player downstairs there just looking to cause some possible problems for anybody looking to push on to Astro stairs. Typon, of course, on the Mozzie does have Nitro in hand, and it's a nasty little angle that he's opened up there. Top of the soft wall is opened. You can launch the Nitro over the top in either direction from the bottom of Astro stairs, through the door, through the soft wall that's been opened up and into dining and kitchen, should Guts get themselves established in there and look to try and clear utility out from underneath. Or alternatively, if Typon is playing down there at any point, it's again another route that he can potentially take if the push is coming anywhere in and around Astro stairs. So we'll see how that one plays out as the round goes on. JJ moving quickly into that lower floor. Merio as well joining him on the Flores by the looks of things. Straight up main stairs and looking to pressure from this south side. There's also some support coming in for him on 90 corridor as well. Yura this time going to open things up with a nice kill onto number 2. That is the smoke gone and important utility lost along with it.
That's very important utility to lose super early on. Then you've got Afro playing on the mute here, also looking to hold pretty close. Down comes the step. The concussion one comes in first, but he still, even through the concussion, finds 1, finds 2. I'd love to say I'm super excited about it, but it's just far too simple at this point for a mute. At that point blank range, gets traded back out before Typon comes to the swing onto 90. It is back and forth between these teams hanging around the south side of the map, and let's not forget that isn't even where the site is. Typon looking to waste a bit more time, finally going to back himself away. Fav should be happy here at 3 versus 2, and now it's all on Guts, specifically Yura and Meryu, to make it happen.
FAV have a great opportunity here to put themselves into the lead for the first time here on Villa. So far, they've had to play from behind on the scoreboard constantly throughout this game, and I'm sure if that opportunity comes along, it could be a real momentum swinger. Now, Merio, he's just moved himself up to the map's door there. He's looking to support the push of Eura, who is established inside of 90. So they've got the defenders now locked back into sight at least, but with only 1 minute to go, FAV, they're going to be reasonably confident about being able to hold their angles here. They've got one Nitro still in hand in Typon, so that is a potential free kill. Can he get the angle? Can he use that explosive? He could even drop himself downstairs and use that for a vertical denial.
Good to see him flash himself, then I was like, please don't, please don't, please don't. Does manage to avoid it away, but you can see where they're starting to set themselves up here. That angle onto Shin is good. You're going to step up with the MPX and pepper a few bullets back in response in case someone is peeking at that exact moment. Fortunately for the side of Guts, no one was, but here we go. The push coming in. They flash in towards Master, and they're now in, and there's also a shield for them to play behind. They've dealt with one of the Yokais here, but can they get the next? They're going to have to go aggressive here. Yura expecting a flank, moves himself back out, and now Meriu, he is dug in the trench here as well. This shield going to do absolutely no favours for the defenders.
Absolutely not. This is, you know, what happens when that diffuser go down. The defenders effectively become attackers. They have to retake the site. Look at that. Merio managing to down Shin there on the Valkyrie. 2 versus 2 effectively now. And Merio not even taking a lot of damage for it, but he will take an awful lot as Typon steps out, gets the headshot and takes the choice to pick up the Valkyrie. Yura will find the kill onto K-Razor on red stairs. It's 2 versus 1 here. It's all down to Yura. Shut down. And Shin has plenty of time to disable that activated diffuser. FAV, they fight back from the brink and get that round over the line. Round 9 is theirs and the lead with it.
That was fascinating round ending, to be honest with you, as well. The plant coming behind the shield, we mentioned it a lot at the time. You've got to see a guy going down behind the shield there and getting the plant on the ground and being like, oh man, how did we let this happen? How have we conceded that ground and not taken the shield with us? Looked like a bit of a kicker, did manage to get himself back out, but Typon going huge in the closing moments puts FAV up to 5-4. They have the advantage here. One more round guarantees at least match point. If nothing else, overtime will be where we are headed. And I believe here we have a brief tactical timeout for one of the teams to have a conversation. It's not pre-shot. That's coming at the end of the show.
It's just back to us. As you say, a tactical timeout coming in for Guts Gaming, and I think probably well-timed there. As I say, it's the first time that FAV have been able to take the lead here. They now sit 5-4, and they are 2 rounds away from claiming all 3 points in this matchup on Villa. So Guts just choosing to take a breather, take a step back, and see what's not working. I mean, that last round, I'm not going to say it's a frustration for them, but in a 2 versus 3, they managed to get the diffuser down. That's half of the job done. At that point, it's about just locking it down, but FAV, they fought back really well in that situation.
That put the diffuser down to man. Feel like you got the advantage there with the shield playing for you for a few seconds as well. We got to that kind of 20 seconds left mark, and I just thought, boys, just play it patient. I think either way it played out, FAV would have got themselves a man playing on the diffuser, trying to go for the disable, and one holding the angle, in this case, Typon. So whichever way it played out, they had to win that gunfight against Typon. Small things in these rounds, we keep on saying it. It is coming down to very, very minor differences to how the rounds are playing out. We're not seeing decisive, flawless rounds stepping in every other round, for example. It is close between these two.
It really is, and we're going to be heading back into round number 10 now. We may well have the opportunity to see all 12 rounds of regulation here. It depends how this one goes. If FAV are able to get this one over the line, defending dining and kitchen, they will have a match point opportunity and could close it down before we get to that 12th round. However, if Guts Gaming win, they'll tie it up once again at 5-5, and that will guarantee us at least all 12. We won't start talking about overtime just yet, but it wouldn't be a surprise at all between these two. So heading downstairs, as we said previously, Guts, they are likely to try and take top floor control. Very similar setup days that we saw FAV bringing along when they were on the attack of this site. We've got the sledge of JJ, we've got the soft breach options on IQ, on Zafia, on Ash. There's just everything there is set up for them to be able to get the vertical angles that they need.
Meriu on the IQ. It's like his name almost completely lines up for that. And speaking of him, he's having a torrid time this week. 2-7 so far compared to looking at how he delivered last week. not exactly a standout absolute gunner last week, but did get involved and got a good number of kills for the side. Yura still stepping up there towards the top as one of the big fraggers alongside the likes of Lily. You'd expect that from Light and Lily being on these more entry-based roles. So it's like they're struggling to find that one man who can really step up and shine for them. You might wager the same about FAV because the kills over there are also quite evenly distributed, but the one player that I do really want to celebrate is Shin. His C4 kills in this game, the couple of clutches that he's had coming out, or 3Ks that he finds in these rounds, super impactful, and Solo, I think at least, has brought a couple of rounds their way.
Using that heartbeat scanner to just feed information back into his team. And that's an important point that you made, Des. Not only have his kills been impactful, but he's also now bringing the pulse, doing the teamwork elements, bringing that very rounded performance to Villa here. So Shin absolutely deserving a shout out for his contribution so far. And I'm sure that will continue over the next few rounds and could well prove pivotal here in them getting the win, should they be able to do so. Right now, we've got the majority of FAV underneath, 3 of the players downstairs, I think it is, and 2 upstairs. Yep, K-Razor and Shin both down there in sight. We've got 1 on lower Astro stairs, and then we've got the Valkyrie up top. So that is going to be Afro playing upstairs and Typon on the red stairs with the opportunity to just flip between both. Guts, they need to get a handle on these 2 roamers. They need to make sure that they're aware of them. Lily looks to be doing exactly that. Moving in through study quickly and looking to aggress into 90 corridor. This is going to be a really important gunfight here, Des.
He's put a drone down there and JJ's watching it, so they know that if he rotates back in towards sites, he knows that he's pinned on the south side of the map somewhere. I think what they might not be super aware of is anyone pushing up from the below, and in that case, they'd be correct. It's Typon holding just at the bottom of main stairs, waiting to make an appearance. But all of this is seeing that clock run down, 60 seconds remaining, and surely Lily needs to do something. He's happy holding on to 2, no doubt, but it's all about the patience game here, and it may pay off as Typon starting to move his way up.
It looks like he's playing him here, Des. Lily knows exactly what is coming, but he dips away potentially at the wrong time, although so did Typon. Now then, this is a real game of cat and mouse. Lily, obviously with some information, takes shots through the wall, but unable to find Afro. Afro, however, does find a kill onto Light. That forces Lily to dip back down the red stairs, and this is not going well for Guts Gaming so far on the roam clearance. They've lost their Zofia. The Ashes had to dip away. Lily takes a ton of damage there as he battles onto Memorial Door. He will find Pulse, however, and that could be big. A lot of information lost there, but in comes the Frostmat. There's Lily, loses his life as the trap snaps shut on his leg, and he's able to be finished by Afro. FAV Gaming 3 versus 2 up, 5 seconds left to go. They find the last 2 kills. It's number 2 who finds the last 2, and that is going to be the round, and it's a match point opportunity for FAV.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I mean, when you've got one man focusing on clear aroma by himself, where's the team play, boys? You've got 4 other members there who are starting to square up for the downstairs. Yes, focusing on some of the vertical control on the top floor, some looking to push in and make a plant happen. But that diffuser was down in the middle of the site, which just screams to me that someone has ran through with the diffuser, hoping to go for a plant somewhere, and it's been shut down quite comfortably by the defenders. So not dealing with the roamers, not dealing with the players on site either. It's a little bit scrappy from Guts here, looking uncomfortable on Villa, which is a little uncharacteristic. It is a map that they do like playing. So here against FAV, it's a couple of questions to ask, no doubt. There's 2 rounds back-to-back they now need, and something just tells me, Ace, they're not going to find the 2 rounds that they want here, given how the last few have gone.
Certainly looking good for FAV right now, isn't it? Not just inside of this match, but inside of the stage. Obviously, your question coming in, Des, whether it was time to, stop considering them as a contender, as we have always done along the way. But they have certainly answered that in convincing fashion, I think it's fair to say so far. They've looked great in stage number 2, and you just don't feel like it's going to end for them. This has not been against easy opposition. Talon and Guts are both very capable teams, as you say, particularly Guts playing against FAV. It's teams that are very familiar with each other, and there should not really be sort of any excuse for not knowing what to expect from them. And FAV, they really are coming out on top at the minute. Back to Aviator Games here in round 11, and their first opportunity to close out Villa with a successful outcome, a win.
It would be a surprise, I think, for many who believe all of us had Guts down to win today after their performance last week. I mentioned before the game about their attacking elements last week that were good. They were phenomenal at pushing into set pieces where people had held shields on top of red stairs, for example, on Clubhouse. They were really good at coordinating 2 or 3 players to push in and clear that player out. But here on Villa, not quite able to achieve the same, even with the drone set up to watch flanks, for example, not committing the right man resource, and FAV are capitalizing on that. They're playing the true Japanese style of being aggressive, getting out in the map, not giving them room to breathe. And Guts trying to formulate this more, I guess, settled play style off the back of Meryu coming in with all of his experience, struggling to adapt to that.
Shin, once again, inside the map. We've seen this from him already. Back in round number 7, just kept himself lurking downstairs and had a big impact. I believe that he picked up the opening kill in round 7. It was onto Light. It was a big one. But we'll see whether Guts this time can be a little bit more aware of that. Now then, Merio's drone does get anchored almost right in front of Afro. He does move himself away. The explosion comes in, won't do any damage, and we can just see him cycling around those stairs there, moving up, dropping back down, and just keeping himself away from drones, away from explosives, away from utility, and most importantly, in place on the red stairs and ready to challenge towards trophy and statuary, which is exactly what he does through the soft wall there. And Afro is so mobile at the minute on those stairs, just keeping himself ducking and weaving and out of danger for the time being. Shin it is. I said that he might do it, and it's onto Light once again, exactly the same as round number 7, able to get that kill from underneath, and they need to pin Shin down. They need to get that kill onto him before they start pushing towards site. Lily goes down to Afro. It's all falling apart, Des.
It absolutely is. They've tried to push in the same way as last time, force onto Red with more drones, more grenades, more boom bots, but the cover from FAV is phenomenal. The roamers, Afro on Red, number 2 playing on 90. They've got the setup, and Guts simply are not able to handle the heat. And you know what they say, Ace? You can't handle the heat. Get out of the kitchen. In this case, get out of Villa is going to be the way this game plays out. 2 versus 5. Yura and Meryu, the final 2 to try and save anything in this game. But with 30 seconds to go, all players to kill or a plant to put down, something tells me, Ace, it's just simply not going to happen.
The Tuscany Sun certainly not suiting Guts Gaming right now. Euro looks to push round for a final throw of the dice, a final attempt here. Merio goes towards map's door. Euro looking for pressure onto 90 corridor, but FAV, they're playing this smart as they are not taking the peaks. They are just holding their lines for the pressure. Now then, a perfect trade comes out. That's exactly how to do it. Merio moves in, but he's 1 versus 3. He's shut down inside of sight, and FAV, they managed to lock it down 7-4 on Villa and pick up a great win, 2 in a row for them at the beginning of stage 2.
To walk out of the half with 3 rounds and then step into a defensive side and play like that, FAV will be very happy, I think, with that performance. Guts, some questions to be asking there, admittedly, around how they were dealing with the early aggression out of FAV, both on the attack and on the defense. It's almost like the switch roles, where last year it would be Guts we would regard as the incredibly aggressive team. This time round it's FAV, and Guts were the ones struggling to deal with it.
Yura and Lily, 19 kills between the 2 of them. What a duo it was today. They were just absolutely everywhere, but we cannot overlook the other contributions coming in from the rest of the team. The whole team contributed to this one. It was a great performance from FAV.
Yeah, absolutely was. Well, FAV are the winners. I'm sure they are now to be Milosh's favies, so let's get over to the desk and get their thoughts on this game.
My favies, as they would say.